Hello, my name is Ryan D'Souza, and I'm here with Dr. Oscar De Leon, who was ASRA board president from 2015 to 2017. This interview is part of the activities surrounding the 100th anniversary of the founding of the first American Society of Regional Anesthesia in 1923 by Gaston Labat and his colleagues. Although this organization is not related to the current day ASRA Pain Medicine, which was founded in 1975, it has been said that the current society would have not existed without the work of Dr. Labat and the original ASRA. So welcome, Dr. Leon. I'm excited to get the opportunity to talk with you and learn from your insights. So to start from here, tell me about your path of events that led to you becoming president of ASRA.
Hello, Dr. D'Souza. Thank you so very much for agreeing to do this. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the way I'm dressing. I just finished procedure, so I don't mean any disrespect to our audience.
No worries.
Thank you. So I joined the board in 2005. There was a meeting in Toronto, I remember clearly, and served as president, as you mentioned, from 2015 to 2017, and finished my tenure in 2019. So we're close to 14 years working in society, which was a wonderful experience.
It's impressive. Tell me about the obstacles that you had to overcome to serve and what advantages or disadvantages that you had.
Well, you know, we were viewed as an academic elitist, full of cronyism group, and I apologize if I am offending anybody. So the core of my philosophy during my presidency was to open the society so that our members could participate and feel part of it. With that in mind, I used the term the ASRA family whenever I could, and then work with the board and the society office to achieve those goals. However, to achieve these ideas or these things that we wanted to implement, we needed money. Thus, increasing membership so that we would have a stronger voice was a high priority. And membership increased from 3,900 in 2015 to about 5,300 in 2017. There was also a big help in the fact that self-management started a year before I became president. And I have to tell you that what we were with the previous managing company named Guinness, the cost of operation per member was $225. Under self-management in 2016, it dropped to $62.10. So we were more nimble and we were able to do more things with what we had at that time. And I need to recognize Angie Stengel and her group for allowing us to bring all those dreams to fruition. Since we wanted to open the society and communicate with them, we also work on website development and increase social media noise, so to speak. To that extent, the ASRA blog was created. And I also have to recognize Anne Snively and the communications committee for that effort. And in 2016, we ran a survey and we asked the members, what is important for you? What do you value as a society? And they named the journal as number one. Number two, I think was, the advisory guidelines that we created. And number three was, and this was new, a voice in the subspecialty. So up to that time, we had been misled by our council attorney. And Angie Stengel gave me an article that was published by Thomas Raffa on September of 2000 in advocacy topic. The article was entitled Advocacy and Lobbying Without Fear, What is Allowed Within a 501c3 charitable organization, which is what we were. So this was eye-opening to me. I remember creating a slide presentation for the board in a presentation to the board, and the idea was to do advocacy for our members without jeopardizing the tax-exempt status that we had. So grassroots movement could be done, talking to CMS, for instance, on the measures to be issued for pain specialists and regional anesthesiologists, and educating members on issues that would affect their bottom line was also discussed. So at the February meeting of 2017, I presented this information, and the board approved these activities. And the motto was, if you are not at the table, you will be in the menu. And I wrote about that at the next president message, talked about it at the president's report at both meetings, and I highlighted the importance of doing that. We also promoted SIGs, and I'm very proud to say that we only had 4 SIGs, special interest groups, in 2015. By 2017, we had 11. So that was yet another way to increase members' participation. And going back to the money issue, our long-term account doubled during my tenure. The COLA grant fund increased by 1 million, and the pain grant increased by 1.5 billion during that time. That enabled us to fund the research COLA grant in $2,100 every other year, and the pain grant in $150,000 every other year as well. We work in unison with the ASA. We were able to convince them to allow us to run the practice management courses that included understanding the CMS new MACRA, MIPS mandates. Dr. Provenzano was instrumental in making us shine in this space. And after much discussion at the board, a certificate was provided to those participants. So I have to thank David for the support and the help in doing that. We also work with other societies, creating documents to support pain therapies. And one of those examples are the famous article published in JAMA that called radiofrequency ablation not useful for the treatment of low back pain. We submitted that group document to JAMA, but was rejected. So a group of us at the board involved with chronic pain management wrote an article that to me is also a landmark article, highlighting not only the flaws in the design of the study, but what is important to move on in research in this area. The POCUS workshop was also started during my tenure, and the certificate was offered. I have to recognize Anahi Perlas and her committee in creating it, and the board in supporting this certificate. And the same is the case with the ultrasound guided chronic pain workshop. Dr. Samer Nuruz was instrumental in arguing to no end the need for us to provide a certificate to participants that up to that point had been taboos for the society. And then of course was the burnout project. After the Tiffany Ingham story, we published the results of research of burnout among our members in the ASRA Pain Medicine Journal, Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine. And then guidelines. We created several guidelines, the acute pain treatment, along with the APS, American Pain Society, and the ASA. We were co-sponsors of the guidelines on detection and management of respiratory depression associated with neuroaxial opioids. Co-sponsors on interventional procedures for low back pain. Again, David Provenzano and Kevin Voren kindly agreed to write a commentary in the 2015 ASRA newsletter. And then we had committees to foster mentorship among our members and research. And I have to be honest and thank Brian Seitz for his support. So as you can see, it was a big agenda, and without the support of all the ASRA family, we could not have achieved that.
Wow, that's very impressive. Thank you for sharing. That's certainly a lot of accomplishments, and you mentioned many different collaborators there, not only in the regional anesthesia space, but also in the chronic pain space, and that has really helped advance ASRA, I think. So that leads me to another question here, because you mentioned the ASA. So that in terms of that segue, was the specialty of anesthesiology in general, were they ready to respond to what ASRA had to offer? Do you feel like ASRA moved the bar during your leadership?
I believe we did, but I will allow the audience to make that decision based on what I just discussed. But I think that proof of that is the ASA and other pain societies like the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, even the AMA welcome our input. When we started to move in that environment. In my mind, yes, we moved the bar, and we positioned the society in a special place. And I think that we continue to do that, and I'm very proud of that.
Thank you. Yep, I would have to definitely agree with that. My next question for you is, during your tenure as president, who did you find most helpful to listen to as president? For example, how did you deal with your assumptions, your biases, your blind spots?
Well, it's always hard to remember all that because you invariably will leave people outside of the list. But the chair of my department, Mark Lima, had been president of the ASA, so he was a beacon in my development, and always there to give me advice. David Provenzano, as I mentioned, for advocacy issues. Brian Seitz, as I mentioned, for support for research and mentorship for the members. Jim Viscusi and Samer Naruz for general advice. And Aso Kumar Bhuvanendran, when I ran out of conspiracy theories. No, just kidding, Aso Kumar, no. Kumar was a great supporter as well. And of course, Angie Stengel. She was a wonderful co-worker, always there to support us and to give the voice of advice.
Thank you for sharing that. That sounded like there were a lot of different collaborators there and a lot of different people you definitely relied on during your tenure as president. So that's awesome to hear that type of collaboration. What changes in thinking and practice and perspective did you foster during your tenure?
Well, as I pointed out, what I'm most proud of is the advocacy focus, the concern for burnout among our members. In the survey that we did and we subsequently published, pain specialists had a higher prevalence than critical care physicians, which at that time was considered the group with the highest incidence. The fostering of member participation in the SIG groups, because it became practice that these SIGs will provide with content ideas to the program committee. So the idea of inclusion was fostered that way. And of course, the continuous development of guidelines, are all sources of pride for me.
Were there any specific predominant needs or any specific predominant issues in anesthesia or pain medicine at that time that you had to deal with?
Well, the advocacy, that was critically important at that point. We had never done that. And, practitioners' income was being threatened. It was a big reason behind burnout. So integrating the two of them was, I thought, a success. in the activities of the society. And of course, the support for the journal and in the creation of guidelines and the collaboration with other societies to highlight the presence of ASRA is equally important.
Perfect. Thank you. I would have to agree. A lot of those issues that you mentioned, the advocacy, the burnout, the physician pay, all those things are even pertinent to this day, and we continue to tackle those issues.
Yes.
My next question for you is, in terms of what was the attitude of your department or clinical group when you served on the board and then became time committed as president?
They were very supportive. Under the leadership of Dr. Lima, again, it was never an issue. And they were always there to provide me with the coverage for the time that I needed to be at the meetings. We had a increase in the number of in-person meetings, so that required the time off, and then there was, of course, participation at the two meetings per year. So it was, a very nice to see my group to come together to support me in that regard.
Thank you for sharing. So my final question for you is, you've served for several years and you continue to advance and influence our field. What words would you choose to define ASRA?
A family. That's how I would say it. We had arguments when we didn't agree about it. We laughed after the meetings were off. There were no grudges, and we were there to help each other. So the words that I think will best define the society is a family.
I love that. I really love that. So especially all your answers were consistent and in line with the family aspect of things, because all the accomplishments that you mentioned and your journey and the obstacles that you encountered, including the advocacy and burnout and collaborating with other societies, they all tended to involve other important members of ASRA and definitely highlight the family aspect of things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So thank you so much again for sharing that insight. That actually concludes my questions. I would like to thank you so much, Dr. De Leon, for your time and your excellent interview. I learned a lot from your perspective here and all the accomplishments that you offered to ASRA. So really, really grateful for advancing our field and for advancing ASRA. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Sousa. I just want to thank the board members before me who laid the work for me being able to do this work and to move the society a little forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.